IELTS Listening Section 4 is a monologue in an academic context. A monologue in an academic context is likely to have been carefully prepared, and the speaker may be referring to notes as he or she gives the talk or lecture. This section is likely to be the closest to written language, with dense information and complex sentences with subordinate clauses. However, the speaker will also usually use signposting language to help the listener follow the argument. Good public speakers and lecturers indicate the stages of their talk through the use of signpost words. These words direct our listening. They warn us that more information is coming and suggest that kind of information this may be. Being able to identify and follow the signpost words will help you make sense of what you hear and help you answer the questions. Imagine trying to find your way around a new city if there were no street or traffic signs. In academic lectures, signposts are very important and they play similar roles to street or traffic signs. In a longer speech, it is not sufficient to simply outline the intended lecture structure in the introduction. You need signposts throughout the lecture to remind the audience where they have come from and to tell them where you plan to go next. Signposts can take the form of words signaling the order in which ideas are presented, or sentences explaining the transition from one section of the lecture to another. To help you remember the most common signpost words, we categorize them in some groups. The text version of this list is available in the supplemental section of this lecture. I encourage you to download the list and memorize as much as you can. It is important to know the direction each of them addresses. Here is a snapshot of the most important words you need to know. Feel free to pause the lecture and spend some time reading and memorizing them. Another big difference in Section 4 is timing. While in all the previous sections, the 10 questions are divided into two halves and you have 30 seconds before each question set or each part to read the questions, apply the techniques and get ready, here in Section 4 there is no break in the middle and you only have 30 seconds at the start of the section to review all the 10 questions, apply your techniques, get ready, and then listen to the recording. And of course, you get another 30 seconds at the end to check your work. Time management is a big challenge here. The time management challenge is how to read all the 10 questions in only 30 seconds and how to remember what you have read when the recording starts. In practice, it is very hard and sometimes impossible to do so, especially if both of the associated question types are gap fillings such as sentence completion or summary completions. What you certainly can do though is reading at least 8 questions out of the total 10. Remember, in the other sections you commonly read and prepare for 6 questions in 30 seconds. So, simply, if you speed up a little bit, you should easily get through 8 questions and find and underline the keywords. This gets even easier if you don't have gap fillings. If the question types that you're facing with are multiple choice questions, where you only need to read the questions, not the choices, or there are classifications or matching type of questions in these sections, it is easier to read them and digest them. So you can save a little bit of time and I bet you can get through 8 or 9 of them easily. When the recording starts, stop reading and fully concentrate on finding the answer of those questions you are prepared for. By doing this, you can at least get 7 to 8 answers right. Don't be deceived by the temptation of reading more and more questions when the recording starts. That way, there is a high chance for you losing all the questions and not getting any answer right. I think it is worthwhile losing one or two answers for the sake of actually getting 7 to 8 right. When the lecturer starts presenting the information related to the questions you haven't read yet, take some notes of what you hear and move on. Especially, as I said, if the question type is multiple choice question, matching, or classification, it is very easy for you to compare your notes with the questions and find the answers at the last 30 seconds you have to check your work. At the end of the test and in the last 30 seconds given to you to check your work, read those 2 to 3 questions and give them your best shot and choose the best answer for them. Because the information related to those questions has been just presented, you have a very good chance to remember them and answer at least one question, if not all. So, worst case scenario, you will miss 1 to 2 questions, and given that you should have answered all your other questions right, you still get 8.5 or 9 in your listening test. Not bad at all. To conclude this lecture, let us do a full section 4 practice and use these time management skills together. We covered all the listening question types in the previous lectures, so this practice is a good review of some of the techniques we have already learned. Remember, section 4 is all about time management and following the signpost words to get through different chunks of information. And the benefit is professional lecturers are using the signpost words very, very wisely. Their aim is for you to understand what they're talking about. There is no point for them to misguide you or mislead you. So, combining the time management skills with the keywords and the signpost words, you should be able to easily get 8 to 9 answers right. And believe me, I've seen many candidates getting all the 10 questions right in this section. And the beauty of IELTS listening test is, even if you get only 39 out of 40 questions right, in most of the test variations, you are still sitting at band score 9, the highest band score. So, technically, there is no chance for you losing any mark unless you can't understand the information. Don't blame the difficulty of section 4. It is just as simple as all the other previous sections of the listening test if you deal with it correctly.